of the main points of this class, if you remember, is writing to an audience that's initially opposed to the thing you want them to do. First principle we want to talk about. What's the purpose of argument? Why should you really argue? What are you trying to achieve? Cooperation, right? It doesn't matter if you're right, it matters if someone else does what you want them to. When you're structuring an argument, the first thing to think about, we call it the A term, is what do you want somebody to do? All right? An example I used previously is, let's say a family needs to move. That's a decision that's going to affect everybody, but maybe in different ways. So the dad wants to move for his job. He also wants his daughter to come with him, right? Even though they have different interests and perspectives, they want to make a shared decision. So let's say the job is in North Carolina. He wants to be clear when structuring his argument on what he wants his daughter to do. Moving to North Carolina, all right? Whatever your argument is, the first thing is to be absolutely clear about what you want the other person to do. What's the issue at stake or decision? The second thing you need to figure out, we call it the B term, is what is their motivating value? Which of all their values is sort of driving their opposite perspective on this decision? So if we take again the example of the father, maybe it's her social life, right? He cares about his job, but she cares about her social life. Now in the past, you may have learned, you're looking for multiple reasons why somebody should do something. But when somebody's opposed, it's best to start with the reason they most care about. Because if you give them the wrong reason, if dad comes into his daughter and says, let's move for my job, she may be willing to do that. That's a lesser value, but it's not going to resolve her concern as much. And there's a chance that she'll shut down because she's heard it already, right? She's tired of hearing about dad's job. What she needs her family to understand is that they're ruining her life, by which she means her social life, right? So if you understand your audience, the person you're trying to get cooperation out of, if you understand correctly what their motivating value is, you can structure an argument that takes that into account. And people will want to listen to you. When you're talking about the thing they care about. Even if you're going to end with asking them to cooperate doing something they didn't initially want to do, that they thought was a bad idea. So these are the first two elements of your argument. Be clear about what you want, and be right about the value that is motivating the other person's opposition to or hesitancy about this issue. The third thing you need in your argument is a way to get them to reframe the issue. So if somebody has already made up their mind and you just tell them you're wrong, it's embarrassing to be wrong. It's no fun to be wrong. So all of us will fight being wrong. It's a human tendency not to want to admit that you're wrong. Because of that, we need to give somebody an excuse to start their decision-making process over. Look, the daughter, by the time dad is going to talk, odds are she's already made up her mind that it will ruin her life, right? And if dad just goes in and says, that's not the case, it's not going to ruin you, they're going to fight because she doesn't want to be wrong. She doesn't want to be embarrassed. Don't make people do that. When you think argument is about being right, you end up, then there's a loser, right? Nobody wants to be the loser. So if you want someone to cooperate with you, don't make them have to admit they're a loser first. And the way you're going to avoid that is by having, we just call it a C term. This is something that will help them reframe the issue and give them permission to reconsider. So it's going to be something related to their main value that maybe they haven't thought as much about before, and it'll be an option. So examples we generated in the class when we talked about a daughter moving to North Carolina. Maybe you want to talk about her Facebook interestingness, right? Basically the argument would be here, look, I understand you're worried about the impact on your social life. What'll happen if we go to North Carolina? Well, one thing maybe you didn't think about yet that could positively impact your social life is you'll be able to put up cool new pictures, tell stories, and your friends here that you miss will electronically keep track of you and actually care more about you because you have new interesting things. Another example somebody gave, let's say you're moving to a slightly smaller school in North Carolina and your daughter's in athletics. Maybe it will open up opportunities for her, right? So maybe there's a sports opportunity that she associates with social life, and she thinks, I couldn't make the volleyball team here, but Dad points out, I know you're worried about leaving your friends. One advantage is, smaller school, you're going to make the volleyball team, and then you'll be able to bond with people through that, right? Again, the key is the parent is, in this case, the dad is speaking to his daughter's concerns and giving her a new way to step out of, he's not saying she was wrong. No, you won't leave your friends. Of course she'll leave her friends. He acknowledges that she has a reason to be concerned and that it's okay and that smart, good people disagree with his decision to move to North Carolina, right? Then he's going to give her a way to rethink the relationship between moving to North Carolina and that thing she cares about, her social life. Okay, formally the way we structure this, I'll go ahead and, I should have left that here. So C, we have maybe Facebook. We'll keep that one. Facebook coolness. Okay. The way this is written on your cover sheet is what code? What are the consequences of A on B? So the topic of the discussion they're going to have is what are the consequences of moving to North Carolina on Tina, we'll call her Tina, Tina's social life. All right? It's important for Dad to note that she's got, we'll call it verb 0. This is what she already thinks. Moving to North Carolina ruins Tina's social life. By the end of the argument, Dad wants to get to a claim, which is going to be A, moving to North Carolina. I'll put it there so you can write. Moving to North Carolina, V1, B. Verb 1 is something more positive he wants to get to by the end. So maybe improves her social life. She thought it would ruin it. He's going to say it improves it, right? Now, he can't come out and say this at the beginning without making her seem stupid. You thought it was going to ruin your social life. You are so immature. Never tell your teenager while they're freaking out they're being immature. They'll figure that out later, but it will just upset them at the time. Don't do it. So he needs this because clause, right? The body of an argument is going to be not about social life, which they've already possibly argued about, or she, even if they haven't, she's already sensitive about. He's going to come to the new reframing. So, because moving to North Carolina heightens your Facebook coolness. He's going to spend most of his time talking about the new thing in order to get back to the value she has. You lay this out in a paper. You're going to write an introduction where you introduce the A term, right? This is what I'm writing about. Make clear, here's a decision somebody faces. Do we move or not? Do we do this or not? Here are the reasons why smart, intelligent, interesting people think this is a horrible idea. This thing that I want you to do, you think it's a horrible idea. Here's why. And you try to connect and show this person you understand them. So the main thing we're doing here is building empathy. And we build empathy by identifying correctly the B term. You will say, hey, some people think this is a good idea for these reasons, but other people have realized for these reasons there's some concerns, right? If you correctly identify their B term and you're able to present it in a fair way, hopefully and typically they'll be able to recognize themselves in it and they'll feel at ease. You understand where I'm coming from, you understand what I'm concerned about, and they're willing to listen to you. So you finish your intro with what's called a contract question, where you don't tell them yet, okay, abandon your position and take mine, right? But you allow them instead, you promise them that you're going to go on a journey and answer this question with them. And basically the contract question is, What are the consequences of A on B? Dad sits down next to daughter and says, okay, you know, North Carolina, you're worried that you'll be leaving your friends, it's a new place, there might be difficulties. How's it going to affect your social life? And his daughter is listening now. In the body, you're going to introduce that C term. Leave for a moment, forget about North Carolina, right? And you're going to say, you know, one part of social life, right? Using the B, old information to get to new information. One part of social life is Facebook for your generation. This is how you connect with your friends. This is how you relate. He's now highlighted this new thing. New ground. She has something interesting to think about. Now he can come back to North Carolina. If you move to North Carolina, how will that affect your Facebook life? And then he's going to give examples, evidence, stories of when moving improves, sorry, did I say social life? I meant Facebook life. Improves her Facebook life. Here's how it's going to make Facebook more interesting. This is the bulk of the paper, A, V2C. At the end of the paper, he'll come back and say the claim from the beginning. Okay, now that he's shown that it improves her Facebook life, he can come back and say, okay, you're worried, I understand, but there's reason to believe that actually moving to North Carolina will improve your social life all around. It's important here that the daughter understands how C and B are related before the paper ever starts. If you had to argue everything from scratch to a blank slate audience, what a pain, right? Instead, this is argumentative jujitsu. In jujitsu, you're using somebody else's weight and speed to, I don't know, throw them on the ground and pin them or something. In an argument, you want to use what somebody already has and just turn it around, right? So she already associates Facebook with a social life. You're using that, right? Everybody has associations they already have. This is the final part of the argument. We call it the implicit assumption. And that means this is the assumption they already have, independent of moving to North Carolina, independent of this controversy. She's already going to believe that whatever V2C, so whatever improves somebody's Facebook life, in this case, also V1B, improves their social life. A coincidence there that I use the same verb, it doesn't matter. Enhances their social life. If she doesn't believe that, it wasn't an effective argument. Already, before, you shouldn't have to prove it. So, this is the argument structure we have.